Episode 10. Which was the real Serena? The words of Captain Henrik reminded all the ladies of the Mr. Smith's dress incident, and they suddenly looked at Lila in a weird way. Lila clenched her fists and smiled. However, the smile was rather reluctant. As if he were just making an irrelevant comment, Captain Henrik pretended to be displeased and said, "Just this once, I will take it. Do not put your uncle in this position again." Serena nodded and saw a tall figure coming from the bedroom. Serena's smile caught Jake's eye when he walked out. The face that was still a bit too young smiled like the blooming of the flower. She seemed to have an aura surrounding her. Pretty. That was what Jake was thinking at that moment. He looked down and then looked up. "Let's go." As he said that, Jake had already walked toward the gate. So cold that it was as if he was not talking to his newly wedded wife. Lila felt slightly relieved and content, looking at Serena provocatively. Lila believed that her plan last night went very smoothly. If she put more effort into it, Serena would never have any credibility in front of Jake again. At the time, no matter how much ass-kissing this stupid girl did, it would be in vain. After all, it was Captain Henrik who made Jake marry her. Lila would become the wife of Jake sooner or later. Seeing Jake acting this way, Captain Henrik sighed inwardly. It seemed that the young couple needed a bit more time to get familiar with each other. Serena was used to that. Looking at Mrs. Robinson apologetically, she said, "Mother, sorry. Your gift." "Go." Mrs. Robinson was smiling in her eyes as she had changed her opinion about Serena. It seemed that this daughter-in-law was not as bad as she had thought. Jake did not use a chauffeur, but drove himself in front of the gate, where Serena was waiting for him. He glanced at her and did not say a word. Knowing that he did not like her, Serena remained quiet as well. In her last lifetime, in the old house, she had been unable to control her anger under the provocation of Lila, so she had completely lost it in public and brought shame to the Robinson household. Captain Henrik had not even entered the hall, and Serena had no idea that Grandpa knew what had happened. Thinking about it, it was probably because of what she had done that Captain Henrik did not ask Jake to accompany her to her maiden family. In the end, when the Clark family called specifically to ask Serena, she then remembered that she should have gone to the Clark family on that day. Because of that, her status in her maiden family also became lower. She was pressured a lot by her uncle and aunt because of that, and had a very hard time. After Jake drove for a dozen minutes, Serena suddenly found that Jake did not go straight to the Clark family, but stopped at a shopping area. "Let's go," Jake said with no expression. Serena pursed her lips, feeling disappointed. However, it was expected. Even with what Grandpa had said, Jake was not obligated to follow through. As long as he could fool Grandpa, that was probably enough. Thinking of that, Serena felt a bit at loss. Unbuckling herself, she reached for the door. When she had just reached for the car door, the man next to her spoke again. "I'll give you 20 minutes to change." Serena was stunned, looking down at what she was wearing. She was wearing her favorite outfit. Although it was not a brand name and did not have the best quality, it really suited her. When she was moving, she did not want to throw it away, and brought it to the Robinson family. She did not realize that he had even noticed such a detail. "Here." Jake looked calm and sounded cold, but he was handing her a black card. Serena was dazed at the black card in his hand. He was giving her money. Serena's heart raced a little, looking at him incredulously. There was no difference on his face. as if the black card with a $5 million credit line was nothing. However, Serena felt a shock in her heart. What surprised her was not how generous he was, but the fact that it was the first time that he gave her something in 2 lifetimes. Seeing that she was dazed, Jack frowned, displeased. "I don't want the Clark family to think that the Robinson family could not even afford to buy you an outfit." Hearing his words, which were somewhat like an explanation, Serena looked outside the car and saw she was in front of a shopping mall, which made her feel relieved. Of course, it was not because of her. "Thank you." Serena did not hesitate to take the card and get out of the car. Watching her going into the shopping mall, Jake seemed to have some thoughts in his mind. It seemed that she was truly different. Her attitude did not seem to be fake. So maybe the Serena before was the fake one. Which Serena was the real Serena? Walking into her favorite luxury store, Serena felt like all the shop assistants were looking at her once she entered the store. Seeing Serena's outfit, the shop assistants' smiles very soon disappeared. They curled their lips downward disdainfully and looked at her with contempt. It was as if a homeless person had entered a 5-star hotel. Serena felt a bit amused. Fortunately, Jake reminded her to get changed. Otherwise, if she wore what she was wearing to the Clark family, her aunt and cousins would laugh at her. However, there was no need to pay attention to the attitude of these shop assistants. The world was like this as always. A prostitute has more dignity than a poor person. She wandered around and was attracted by a gorgeous dress displayed in the middle of the store. As she was about to reach for the dress, she heard a high-pitched female voice say, "Hey, don't touch that! The dress is very expensive!" Serena turned her head and saw a female shop assistant. She walked to Serena displeased. "Do you know how much this piece costs? What if you damage it by touching it?" Her words were full of contempt. Serena asked, "So a fitting room is not an option here?" "Whoever can afford it can try it on." The shop assistant was disgusted by the cheap outfit Serena was wearing and said coldly, "I'm sorry, miss. I think you should leave. I will not walk you out." Serena looked to the other shop assistants and felt it was unreasonable. She then asked, "This is how this shopping mall treats its customers?" Hearing Serena's words, the shop assistant was very amused, as if she had heard some kind of joke. "Whoever could afford our pieces are, of course, our customers."